The following program is paid for by the Real Estate Radio Network.
You're listening to Real Estate Radio Fresno on 105.9 The FM KMJ. Now, live in studio, your host, local real estate expert, Craig Barton.
Good morning, Central Valley. I'm your host, Craig Barton, and welcome to the Real Estate Radio Network, the most important hour of radio each week here on 105.9 The FM KMJ. Real Estate Radio is a show dedicated to bringing some rational thought to the crazy world that we live in and helping you to rebuild the Central Valley's housing and credit markets. Within every market, there are solutions as well as tremendous opportunities. You just need some trusted advice, and that's exactly what you're going to hear every Sunday morning from 7 to 8 a.m. right here on 105.9 The FM KMJ. What's that look on your face?
Oh, Johnny and I are concerned. Are you feeling okay?
Yeah, I'm fine.
I feel like I'm on The Voice, and I'm going to say, you have this really interesting raspy sound. Are you okay?
Why, yes, I am.
Okay. Well, I know you don't smoke, you know, so I'm just like, is that allergies,
this is
a
what
cold?
2 weeks of post-nasal drip will make you sound
Wow. Well, now that was an attractive.
TMI, Johnny,
Yeah,
right?
TMI. Way. Here, you want some water? Wowzers. Good morning, Craig.
hey,
It's nice to have your sick self with us.
Yeah, I know. I'm fine. I
Okay,
really
good.
am.
Good.
Really
Because, yeah. Okay.
Hey, we've seen, speaking of
Post-nasal drip?
Post-nasal drip, we've seen pretty much all seasons this week, haven't we? You know, it's been sunny, it's been rainy,
Yeah. Hot as
supposedly
Hades.
thunders, hot as Hades.
I saw some lightning the other night. That was kind of cool.
Was it?
Sitting in my backyard.
Yeah.
Yeah. Hanging out with some friends, and I just ting. So we all get excited and start watching the sky. Hey, we don't live in the Midwest. The Midwest gets that all the time.
And doesn't it always seem
rare.
like it was much bigger when you were littler? When I was little and it would lightning and thunder, it just felt like felt to me like it happened all the time, and it was just this big production. I don't know what the deal is.
Yeah, I'm thinking somebody just hit you. The lights went out.
Great.
We're seeing stars. Because I don't remember ever being that little.
Kind of feeling like Wile E. Coyote right from Bugs Bunny.
Sorry.
As always, it's so good to have my special new guest host, Michelle Pettis.
I love how it ends. Michelle Pettis.
Michelle Pettis.
I'm so excited.
Yeah, Michelle is a licensed realtor and one of my best friends.
Hey, thanks, Gregor.
Yeah.
Good times.
Good to have you on the show, kid.
Thanks.
Thanks so much for being here. Well, the Real Estate Radio Network gives us the opportunity to reach so many people efficiently for one full hour each and every week. Our goal at the Real Estate Radio Network is to get you, our listeners, the timely and accurate truth about your local real estate market so we can help bring you
Back home.
You did it.
I almost
And
missed
you know
it.
what? The other thing I was going to point out, you do that regularly as well. You bring people back home.
I try.
You really do. Whether you realize it or not, you do bring people
thanks.
back home.
I take that as a compliment.
Well, and we're going to talk later in the show how some people actually get in the way of being brought back home.
Those.
Yeah, those.
I prefer not work with those.
Yeah, there you go.
They don't call me.
When they approach you with their hula hoops, they
The circus is over.
and you know who you are.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, on today's show, there are 4 threats that still remain in the way of the housing recovery, and 3 buyer mindset quirks that could kill
Those are the ones we're talking
the deal.
about.
Yeah, those are the ones we're talking about. And what exactly are the financial perks of homeownership? And more homeowners in the state of California are getting the principal balances reduced on their mortgages. And another encouraging sign of recovery is late payment rate on mortgages tumbles during the first quarter.
Tumbles
downward.
Nice.
In the first quarter of 2013. We're also going to take some listener questions, so make sure you stay with us. Again, if you have any real estate or mortgage-related questions or questions regarding the information that Michelle and myself share with you on our show, it all starts with one call. Give us a call anytime, during the show, after the show. We'd love to hear from you. 800-979-3958. Again, that's 800-979-3958. Your phone calls are valuable, folks. We'd love to hear from you. You can also go to our website and check out our resources online. You can begin to search for your new home at valleywidesells.com. Again, that's valleywidesells.com. To friend us on Facebook, use press 4 keywords.
Friend Valley Wide on Facebook.
Or use press 4 keyword.
KMJ, call Valley Wide.
To get connected to us anytime, we'd love to hear from you. Well, you heard us mention Press 4. Press 4 is an app that was actually built by a very good friend of mine, Greg Stebb. And Press 4 is for all those times you are away from your computer and you'd like us to be able to share timely and accurate information that we talk about here on the show by mentioning those keywords. Well, the first thing that you have to do is super simple, free app. Go to the website at press4.com or go to your app store, whether it's an iPhone or Android phone, and follow the easy setup instructions. And before you know it, you'll be calling into the show by using the Press 4 keywords, KMJ, call Valley-wide. Simple as that.
I love my apps.
You do. You're a little app girl, huh?
I am.
Well, let's take a look at today's hot property. Today's hot property is brought to you by Perfect Inspections. You know what? There is such a thing as a perfect home inspection. That's exactly what Jerry does. Whether it's residential, multifamily, commercial, just use Press 4 keywords, Perfect Home Inspections, or call Jerry Schooley today for your perfect home inspection at 352-6941. Again, that's 352-6941. Well, today's hot property, kind of surprised that it hasn't moved yet.
Yeah, how many days has it been on? It's been on a while now.
It's been a couple weeks now.
Okay.
This particular HUD home, this is a HUD home, so it means the previous owners, unfortunately, they had FHA financing on the property. Unfortunately, they lost it back to the bank. The bank files a claim with the Department of Housing and Urban Development. HUD pays the claim, makes the bank whole, and then takes the property back and markets it as a HUD home. This property appraised at $267,000. So as we mentioned on the show recently, this is the second highest price category in terms of sheer numbers. The highest number of active listings in Fresno County right at the moment is between 200 and 250,000. Second highest number of active listings in Fresno County is 250 to 299, 999. This one is...
So we expect them to take a little bit longer based on the numbers.
We do expect them to take a little bit longer. Average marketing time is about 85 days for this particular price point.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
But less buyers in that price point as well.
Yeah, exactly. Less buyers in this price point.
But what a great property. It needs no repairs. No specific repairs were noted by the appraiser. And this is already appraised at $267. So what an easy process. If you are approved... for $267 or higher, this would be something you might want to take a look at.
FHA appraisal already completed, saves you as a buyer or saves your client if you're an agent. The cost of an appraisal, roughly $450. Property address is 6153 East Cortland Avenue, Fresno, California, 93727. Major cross streets are Fowler and Ashland. 4-bedroom, 2.5 bath, woodside home, roughly about 5 years old, 2,445 square feet. On a large lot.
Quick question, though, because I know everybody we talk to out in the marketplace wants a deal.
Yeah.
Everybody wants a deal. So let's talk a little bit. This one's been on the market since the 24th of April. So, a few weeks. Are they negotiable? Because folks are probably wondering, okay, if they're asking $267, how negotiable is HUD at this point? Because right now it's owner-occupant bids only are being reviewed until the 30-day mark. At that point, investors can come in and make their bids.
Yep.
But how negotiable is HUD in situations like this?
Well, in a competitive marketplace, you've got two things you've got to keep in mind. Number one, answering that question, exactly how negotiable is or flexible HUD is. In this particular instance, HUD will deviate off the sales price by roughly, what we found statistically, by roughly about 3% if the buyer does not need a concession for closing costs or prepaids.
Okay, so you can offer $267 with 3% cash towards your closing costs, or reduce your purchase offer by 3% and pay your own closing costs.
And pay your own closing costs and prepaids.
Okay.
And that is typically statistically sufficient in order to meet HUD's minimum net requirements. Because they're telling you right now, and it's always been this way, HUD will pay up to 3% of the buyer's closing costs and prepaids. Now, flip side of the coin, you have to keep in mind in a competitive market, depending upon the property, depending upon the amenities, depending upon the school district that the property is located in, how competitive is it going to be for that particular property? In this instance, we do not have an accepted offer on this property yet. So there's a little room, there's a little flexibility as far as exactly. So offer $267 less 3%, and that should be sufficient in order to tie it up for you.
Nice. Now, do we know what school district this particular is?
This is Clovis Unified.
Clovis Unified.
Yep. Gotta love it.
Yeah, that's surprising. Okay, awesome.
If you'd like more information about today's hot property, give us a call anytime. 800-979-3958. Again, that's 800-979-3958. Or use Press 4 keywords, KMJ, Hot Property.
I'm with you.
And we'll send you more information about this hot property right to your phone. Look for more hot properties each week right here on the Real Estate Radio Network. Actually, you can look for more hot properties here on the Real Estate Radio Network, and then all you have to do is call us, and we'll tell you about all the hot properties flying off the shelf out there right now.
Wow, no kidding. No
Fresno
kidding.
County, we dipped back down. Last week we were just slightly in excess of 1,100 listings active in Fresno County, single-family residences. This week, 1,059.
So we're floating right around 1,100 up, a little bit below, a little bit up.
Still right at roughly 2 months, just slightly under 2 months of active inventory that's available in today's market. And typically what economists say they like to see so that there's not so much pressure on prices and buyers is somewhere between 5 and 6 months. I don't know about you, but 5 and 6 months of active inventory seems like an eternity ago. It really does.
Yeah, it does. It does. It truly does. And the volume of calls are not subsiding. We have more people becoming interested in the market every day. More and more.
So what slows the trend? What slows the trend in terms of, granted, we're not going to see, being that interest rates are being held down artificially right at the moment and have been for quite some time by the feds. It's a great time to buy in terms of home affordability. It's a great time to buy in terms of mortgage rates. But what happens when instead of an average FHA interest rate is roughly, say, 3.25% with an APR of about 3.5%, what happens when rates go to 5%? How much of an impact does that affect in terms of affordability, but more so the perception on the buyer's behalf that maybe this might not be the time for me to buy a home? And is that because from what I hear, that is such a huge part of the perception of buyers right at the moment. When it hits 5%, what is it just really going to shatter the dream of home ownership for a lot of folks that are in that, $120,000 to $200,000 range that are just finding it darn near impossible to buy a home right at the moment?
Well, my concern is, are we going to start seeing different loan types and an adjustment of the market to the conditions to make those folks viable buyers, even though the affordability factor is the issue?
Sure.
So me as an agent, I'm watching to in concern because we're starting to see some adjustments happen in the mortgage side out there, and we just want to, honestly, there's a caution flag. Let's not just tweak the market to make it work for everyone, because not everyone is going to own a house.
And let's not loosen the belt,
purse strings.
Yeah, the purse strings that fast.
And I'm always amazed, and I mean no disrespect to these folks, but I'm always amazed when somebody calls me and says, I don't have a job, but I want to know how to buy a house.
Yeah. I'm sorry. I just
okay, and I try
back in
not
2004,
to laugh.
I could have got you a loan.
Yeah, and that's
Easily,
scary, and
with
that's
10%
scary.
down.
And the fact that those folks are still calling.
Seriously, Johnny, I kid you not.
Yeah, because if you had a pulse, you got a loan.
Well, and how far removed are we from those folks that still think that? I just
They
talked
still
with
think
a buyer
that's possible.
Yeah, I just talked with a buyer recently, and the buyer says, "Hey, want to buy a home for my daughter, and what are your rates?" Okay, well, stop. Okay,
Hold on. Time out.
The question you just asked. Let me help. And I genuinely tell folks, let me help educate you on why that's a multidimensional question. And it's more 3D, 4D, 5D than it is just one-dimensional, because rates are based upon so many different things: type of property, type of financing, the lowest middle credit score of both borrowers, if there are two borrowers, or just the middle credit score of the borrower, if there's only one. And you add, what's the loan to value in there? You add
the
all
layers
those,
of risk.
Exactly, all those different variables. And it's not just as easy. I can quote you a rate of 3% to 10%.
Where do you want to be?
Honestly, I need a little more information before
Sure.
I'm able to give you an educated answer as to where you're at. If you're just looking for raw numbers, I'm probably not the guy. If you just want me to throw something off the top of my head, in the ballpark about what? No, that's not how I operate.
Well, and I think additionally, the message that we need to continue to tell people is, first of all, not everybody in the world is going to own a home.
And
Just
not everybody has to like, and I say, excuse me for interjecting, not everyone has to like current market conditions. It's a great time to buy a home, but not everybody has to like current market conditions. In other words, like you said, you educate a client as to how swift the water is moving when you get off the front porch. You don't have to like it. You don't have to buy a home. You don't have to decide you want to play.
And it's not okay that you aren't real with the fact that not everybody's going to have the opportunity to buy a home. It's an earned privilege to buy a home.
Correct.
And it takes participation as far as a job, having some income, having a bank account. I mean, there's things that a buyer has to do.
So can we still offer $175 on that house that's priced at $200? Come on, can't we?
No, we cannot offer $175 priced on the house $200.
Why not?
Lord have mercy. Here we go again.
Yeah, thanks. I thought it was a good question.
Yeah, well, and it's a valid question,
okay,
but no.
Then 170. 170.
Oh, Lord have mercy. Get out of here.
Going the other way.
Away. Yeah.
Well, there's 4 threats that still remain as a potential block to our housing recovery. Well, first one is the housing recovery appears to be on track and growing stronger day by day, but home sales and prices are up after reaching a bottom in 2010. Foreclosures, as well as mortgage delinquencies, which we're going to talk about just shortly, are dropping, yet housing affordability still remains very high. So really, what are some of the areas that economists are concerned about? Well, number one, we were talking about it just a couple weeks ago on the show. Land scarcity. We talked about San Francisco. You said, hey, there isn't anymore.
Yeah, build up,
or you're digging a big old hole and building down. Well,
you really can't.
Really can't.
You'll end up in China.
Yeah.
They've already
Real estate developers are struggling to find desirable land to start new projects. Wow, which is certainly limiting the supply of new homes.
Well, and I think one of the other things we're talking about is it's more difficult to finance as a developer those parcels of land that they're purchasing. So it's not just that it's not available; it's also that you can't just finance it as easily as you used to.
Can't go out and leverage it the way you used to in 2005.
Because you didn't have sales in 2009 and 2010 to support buying now.
That's a very good point.
It's just like applying for a loan.
So tell me what you did in 2009 and 2010.
I sold nothing. You sold nothing. You sold no lots, and you want to buy 5,000 lots? Really?
2 units.
Yeah, exactly.
That's not going to
That's
float.
the kind of world it was, and so people are having to rebuild that credit stability.
Yeah, house flippers should also be extremely cautious. Housing affordability is high, mostly due to super low mortgage rates, and investors that are taking advantage of the intention of purchasing properties and eventually going to flip them. But no doubt you can buy a house today and get a really good price on a low interest rate loan. Well, in Fresno County, if you're an investor, it's a tough road to home. We're going to talk about it a little bit later as far as investors. Speculation is the new buzzword in the market, which is scary as all get out.
You might as well be playing roulette.
Go to Vegas, baby.
Go to
Vegas. Tell you, at least the cocktail gal comes by every once in a while to keep your drink full. And foreign buyers are potentially inflating inflating prices.
Stop talking about those foreigners like that.
That was not an impression. Yeah, in some markets, strong demand by foreign investors has helped home prices recover here in the Central Valley.
Yeah, absolutely.
Foreign investors are here in the droves. But still, there are still markets that are extremely, extremely soft. And let's talk about a patchy recovery. Not every market is like Fresno County.
Oh, really?
Yeah, there's other markets nationally where there's still a glut of properties that still have to move.
So how do we fix that?
That's a really good question. The example they gave here, there's markets like Miami, Los Angeles, and New York are seeing strong demand among foreign buyers. And they say it's a good thing to buy, but there's a 80 miles, Palm Beach County, which is 80 miles north of Miami, there's a huge glut of housing.
Okay, so I'm going to say, what's the industry there? Because it's a 2-hour drive from the nearest probably airport to get there. So what are we doing to stimulate the economy in that region?
Sure.
Because it's just like Detroit and the other places. You got to have the economy to support the housing and the folks who can buy.
Like I said last week, those markets with the strongest economic markets, strongest job markets are those where we see the strongest recovery.
And I'm going to, city councils, mayors out there need to be looking at how are you stimulating business in your region.
Scary thing is, what if Fresno County was even stronger economically than what it was, than what it has been over the last 2 years? What kind of pressure could we be seeing on prices then?
Oh, I can't even imagine.
Super scary thought.
Yeah,
that's
super
for sure.
Scary.
Again, if you have any real estate or mortgage related questions or questions regarding the information that we share with you on the show, it all starts with one call. Give us a call anytime, 800-979-3958. Or should I say, just hit me on my hip.
Hit me on my head.
Yeah, 800-979-3958. You can also go to our website, valleywidesells.com. Again, that's valleywidesells.com. To friend us on Facebook, use Press4 keywords.
Friend Valley Wide on Facebook.
Or use Press4 keywords.
KMJ, call Valley Wide.
To call in to Michelle and myself anytime. We'd love to chat with you. We'd love to take your questions and hopefully offer some great advice or some solutions. Well, coming up, 5 things every real estate pro should know and own a home. well, you just might be able to take advantage of what we call equity. It's a little term that we dusted off in the past there. Make sure you stay with us. You are listening to the Real Estate Radio Network, helping you to redefine real estate here on 105.9, the FM KMJ.
This program is brought to you by the Real Estate Radio Network. Visit realestateradio.us for more info. That's realestateradio.us.
Mortgage interest rates are at historic lows, and there's never been a more affordable time to buy real estate. Whether you're looking for your first home, moving up, or your next income-producing property, let the mortgage professionals at Valley White help. Valley White Homes has been helping homeowners with their mortgage needs since 1997. When it comes to the Valley's real estate, we know our way around the neighborhood. Call toll-free 800-979-3958 and put the seasoned professionals at Valley White Homes to work for you. Valley White Homes, NMLS number 342062, 235-952, California Department of Real Estate License 0122-8460. Have you ever thought about going solar? It's never been easier to go solar than with a SunPower lease. You'll start saving money the very first day. Arise Solar has a team of energy consultants ready to help you determine if going solar is right for you. Start taking control of your energy costs. Contact Arise Solar, your local SunPower Elite dealer at 449-8989. That's Arise Solar at 449-8989. Or use press 4 keywords, Arise Solar.
Did you know that all the tickets you can buy on different websites come from the same place? Did you know that you can buy every ticket you need to any event in the country, the whole country, from Pete's Seats right here in Fresno? If that's the case, you need to call Pete's Seats. Any ticket, anytime. Sports, concerts, theater. Hey, there's seats, and then there's Pete's Seats. Premium tickets for all events, local, national, worldwide. Don't settle for a regular seat when you can get a really good Pete's Seat. Online at peteseats.net or simply 294-SEAT. That's 294-7328.
How much should I be saving? When can I retire? What can I do to ensure that my estate will be left in the hands of my family once I'm gone? Is my hard-earned money safe in today's markets?
With all the uncertainty in today's world, all of us at the Island Group know it is our job to provide answers to these questions. Walk with us, the Island Group at UBS Financial Services. Call me, Kate Island, at 559-248-4097. That's 559-248-4097, and take the first step in protecting your financial future.
All rights reserved. UBS Financial Services, Inc. is a subsidiary of UBS AG. Member SIPC.
You're listening to Real Estate Radio Network with local expert Craig Barton. Now, here's Craig.
Well, Michelle, you mentioned, because you're quirky, I am quirky. I know that you get this.
All right, let's talk about it.
But, there's 3 buyer mindset quirks that could kill the deal.
Tell me more.
Tell you more. Well, yeah, whether a given oddity of humanity is good or bad often depends upon the context. For example, one of the best advertisements I've seen was a mortgage company billboard that read simply, "Surprises are for birthday parties." Implied surprise parties are fun, but surprises during underwriting, not so much fun.
I agree.
A couple mindsets. If you're out shopping in today's market, that could be a deal killer. May not even give you the ability to be able to write the offer without a little guilt that's onset. Sudden onset frugality. Well, this happens with buyers who show up to every house hunt, dripping in and I love this, dripping in designer logos from head to toe. Can't meet with you without pulling out the latest smartphone, tablet, laptop, or digital pen. Attend every restaurant opening in town and take every opportunity to travel to 7 seas. And these people are uber consumers. They know their way around the purchase. Yet when it comes to making the largest, most important purchase of their lives, they somehow suddenly get cheap.
I totally agree.
Agree.
Well, and again, we had this conversation earlier in regards to someone I know. The hardest person you'll ever say no to is yourself.
Yep.
Okay, the seller could care less. They don't really care, because they're going to get 15 offers. So do you want to make an offer that's going to make sense, or do you want to lowball them and pretend you're in charge? You're not in charge. I hate to tell you.
Yeah, whether you're the seller or whether and in a lot of instances, the seller, they set their sights too high. We had this conversation recently. Set their sights too high, they're still not in control. But do they perceive that they're in control?
They want to be in control.
Sure.
They want to be in control. But the buyers want to be in control, too. So there's this tug-of-war going back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. And really, at the end of the day, guys, the banks, the appraisers, the folks in the middle making those final decisions are the ones who are in charge. You can offer $20,000 less than the property is worth, even if the seller's not going to agree to it if that appraiser comes in.
Sure.
Yeah.
And in fairness, there's a lot of buyers that do start out this way. They start out being super
frugal. Super frugal.
Yeah. That's a nice way of putting it.
Yeah.
It's super frugal, but then they
reality
come
hits.
to reality. Exactly. Reality.
It's a waste of everyone's time. It really is. You got to look at your comps. You got to be real. Come on, guys.
So when your client walks into the office and sits in the lobby and they each have hula hoops, that's let the agent beware.
Yeah, let the agent beware. How do you handle that as an agent? Good luck.
Yeah. Number 2, panic-based paralysis.
What do you mean
well,
by
panic
that?
is a powerful emotional state. And in the context of real estate transaction, panic often arises when a buyer feels their dream home is threatened by other offers. Here's the deal in today's market. You better get used to it.
10 plus
Yeah,
offers.
if it's priced right. Yeah. We just had a property that was, let's see here, listed about $320, listed it on Thursday. By Tuesday of this week, countering back to 10 offers roughly. We had one offer, which kind of surprisingly enough, they offered in the low 200s.
$100,000 less.
$100,000.
Let's just take 30% off every offer we put out there.
And really, seriously, I mean, as an agent, why do you write that offer?
You know why you write that offer?
Why is that?
You write that offer to educate your client. The first time you say, okay, I'm educating you. This is not going to fly. You need that. I'll write it for them.
Assuming that that's exactly what you're trying to do, because there are certain agents out there that will write those offers in hopes that something sticks.
Well,
and it's not going to.
It's not going to stick. But the client needs to hear that from a third party. The third party pitch.
The third party pitch. There you go. And then number 3, commitment to consensus. That means...
That means I have the Mary Kay party at the new house and decide if, all my friends are going to tell me whether they like it.
So what do you guys all think?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, should we write an offer or not?
Yeah, no.
Mom,
we don't
Dad,
have time for that. In Fresno, we do not have time for that.
Not in today's market.
You want to see it? You want to make an offer? Bring them all with you when you come. I'm being honest.
No,
otherwise you're going to lose on the opportunity to purchase that house potentially.
I love your commitment to being real. And that's an extremely important thing in today's market is, do you want to be real? I gave a presentation earlier this week at Century 21 C. Watson, and I said, do you want to get good at writing offers? Do you want to get good at getting offers accepted?
Yeah, I can write them all day long, but if they're not going to get accepted, what's the point?
And you have been.
What's the point?
Yeah. Did you also know that more homeowners can get mortgages reduced? Well, an increasing number of underwater borrowers in California could qualify for mortgage deductions through the $2 billion program that helps homeowners who have fallen behind on their monthly loan payments. Chase, JP Morgan Chase, Wells Fargo, and also recently Banco de America is on board. This program is called Keep Your Home California. San Diego County is an example. 72 borrowers have been granted principal reductions ever since the program started 3 years ago. That represents 4% of the total number of San Diegans helped by all different aspects of Keep Your Home California.
72 borrowers.
Yep, 72 borrowers.
They're raving about 72 borrowers?
Hey, it could be less. Okay.
I'm sorry. When you said 72 borrowers, wow, great for them.
Yeah. There's roughly 60-plus servicers that are actually taking part in the program here in California. And to qualify, all you have to do to qualify for a principal reduction, that's where this particular program is actually going to pay down your principal mortgage balance. Applicants must owe more than what their homes are worth and have some sort of financial hardship. Consumers can get currently up to $100,000 off their mortgage balance. That's huge.
That is huge. If they could expand it beyond 72 people, that'd be awesome. I'm still stuck
talking,
on 72.
Yeah, I'm just talking. That's
and it's probably more. As far as the other stuff they do for them. But wow,
very, very true.
Yeah.
And also a resurging housing market and rising home values and steady job gains are helping more U.S. homeowners stay on top of their mortgage payments. This is extremely, extremely encouraging, guys, because the percentage of mortgage holders at least 2 months behind on their mortgages. 2 months behind on your mortgages is a banana peel away from a notice of default and 90 days away from a notice of sale and an additional 21 days from the sale of the courthouse steps if your servicer is actually going through the process of non-judicial foreclosure. That's as fast as it can happen. Well, the percentage of mortgage holders that were at least 2 months behind on their payments fell by 21% in the first 3 months of this year versus the same period in 2012. And this was reported by TransUnion this week. Yeah.
What is okay, and I don't know if this is a valid way to ask it or not.
Okay, ask away.
What's a natural foreclosure rate?
2%.
2% or less, okay.
Yep. Before the mortgage delinquency rate got out of control.
Before the bubble.
Yeah, 7% at its highest.
Okay.
An average historically is somewhere between 1 to 2%.
And where are we at now?
Yeah. Where did we go?
4? I think it said 4.5. That's down from 5.78. So we're still high. We're still double what we should be.
4.56.
Okay, so double what we should be.
Yep.
Okay. I just was curious.
Still got a long way to go.
Yeah, absolutely.
Still got a long way to go. But, it is encouraging.
I find it very encouraging. I think my only concern as we watch these encouraging statistics and the change in the market is what have we done to this generation as far as the severity of foreclosure and bankruptcy and those huge issues that this generation has faced. Mm-hmm. It's kind of like they talk about, gun violence on TV. The more you watch, the more comfortable it becomes to see.
Right.
Same thing with foreclosures and bankruptcies and these things. The more you've seen of it, is it more socially acceptable now to have these issues going forward? And that's something the market will have to address in time.
And what kind of effect will that have on historical delinquencies? Sure. Sure. Yeah, they're just way number to the prospect.
Well, because, when people went through the Depression, we all saw it in our parents, grandparents, and great-grandparents, the frugality that ensued after that because they had gone without, and the war and the different things that transpired that caused that generation to be so conservative, and then it lessened with each generation. And now we've got this. So, it'll be interesting to watch.
How far the pendulum swings back. For some reason, I don't think that it's going to be, granted, I've heard as of late that consumer spending's down. The amount of monies that folks are putting on credit cards during the first quarter of this year is down dramatically, which is good. Mm-hmm. But the flip side of the coin is, honestly, I don't think that our memory is going to be as impressed as it was.
No, I agree.
For those folks that came out of the Great Depression.
I agree.
I don't think that we are going to see that great a swing in terms of how conservative those next generations were, getting through the war, getting through Korea, getting through Vietnam, getting through the Nixon era.
I agree, and I agree with that because I think they're numb to... I think it has been manipulated in so many facets, in so many ways
to lessen the
pain.
Yeah,
mm-hmm. That I'm not sure this generation is going to appreciate what we're watching happen right now,
or really have the opportunity to appreciate it. Because I tell you what, my ex-wife, her grandma, she has a freezer that you can find stuff from like 1994 that's been frozen, and I kid you not. She's got stuff straight up.
Yeah. You don't throw anything away.
You got to love Grandma Susan. Yeah, she's the best. But I'm telling you what, she's frugal, and she comes from generations that are extremely, extremely frugal.
But that was a necessity to survive, and it kind of goes back to the article that we were talking about earlier. When you come in and you want a penny pension offer, but you got the latest in shoes, you got the latest technological devices you're carrying around.
Sure.
It's like waste is not that all of those are wasteful, but just, it's priorities. It's all about priorities.
And again, what makes you, in terms of the buyer's mindset, what makes you not pay attention to that realtor? Does it always have to be third-party pitch? That's what I don't get right at the moment.
Well, and here's what I'm going to say. Why are you working with a realtor?
Yeah.
If you're not going to trust the advice of your realtor who's in this market every day in the trenches, don't work with them.
Right.
Don't waste their time. Because I really do think consumers waste realtors' time. And just, realtors, they're out there working their fannies off, and they don't get paid unless the transaction closes.
Exactly.
So it's not like they're doing it for fun. They're doing a job, and they're working hard for you.
Right.
Don't waste their time.
Right. So what gets your attention? Good question.
Yeah.
Again, if you have any real estate or mortgage-related questions or questions regarding the information that Michelle and myself share with you on our show, or you just want to call and give us your 2 cents.
Yeah, I gave them mine.
Yeah. Yeah, and you do that quite often during this hour on Sunday
off the
morning.
soapbox.
Call us anytime, 800-979-3958. Again, that's 800-979-3958. You can also go to our website. You can register. You can search for your new home. You can say, Craig, hey, we need help with bankruptcy. We need help with foreclosure. We've got general real estate questions. Go to our website, valleywidesells.com. Again, that's valleywidesells.com. To friend us on Facebook, use Press 4 keywords.
Friend Valley Wide on Facebook.
Or use Press 4 keywords.
KMJ, call Valley Wide.
To get connected to us anytime, we'd love to get your questions. Well, with home listings so low, spec building is back. Yeah, speculation. That's a dirty little word. Completed foreclosures rise in March, and foreclosure inventories fall. And have you also heard that in some transactions, the seller is actually trying to choose the mortgage company that you're dealing with? You're listening to the Real Estate Radio Network, helping you to redefine real estate. Here on 105.9, the FM KMJ.
This program is brought to you by the Real Estate Radio Network. Visit realestateradio.us for more info. That's realestateradio.us.
Mortgage interest rates are at historic lows, and there's never been a more affordable time to buy real estate. Whether you're looking for your first home, moving up, or your next income-producing property, let the mortgage professionals at Valley Wide help. Valley Wide Homes has been helping homeowners with their mortgage needs since 1997. When it comes to the Valley's real estate, we know our way around the neighborhood. Call toll-free, 800-979-3958. And put the seasoned professionals at Valley Wide Homes to work for you. Valley Wide Homes, NMLS number 342062, 235-952, California Department of Real Estate License 0122-8460. Have you ever thought about going solar? It's never been easier to go solar than with a SunPower lease. You'll start saving money the very first day. Arise Solar has a team of energy consultants ready to help you determine if going solar is right for you. Start taking control of your energy costs. Contact Arise Solar, your local SunPower Elite dealer, at 449-8989. That's Arise Solar at 449-8989. Or use Press 4 keywords, Arise Solar.
Did you know that all the tickets you can buy on different websites come from the same place? Did you know that you can buy every ticket you need to any event in the country, the whole country, from Pete's Seats right here in Fresno? If that's the case, you need to call Pete's Seats. Any ticket, anytime. Sports, concerts, theater. Hey, there's seats, and then there's Pete's Seats. Premium tickets for all events, local, national, worldwide. Don't settle for a regular seat when you can get a really good Pete's Seat. Online at peteseats.net or simply 294-SEAT. That's 294-7328.
How much should I be saving? When can I retire? What can I do to ensure that my estate will be left in the hands of my family once I'm gone? Is my hard-earned money safe in today's markets?
With all the uncertainty in today's world, all of us at the Island Group know it is our job to provide answers to these questions. Walk with us, the Island Group at UBS Financial Services. Call me, Kate Island, at 559-248-4097. That's 559-248-4097. And take the first step in protecting your financial future.
All rights reserved. UBS Financial Services, Inc. is a subsidiary of UBS AG. Member SIPC.
You're listening to Real Estate Radio Network with local expert Craig Barton. Now, here's Craig.
Well, Michelle, if you currently own a home in the Central Valley, this is a conversation we haven't had in quite some time. You might have equity. I kid you not.
Is that a four-letter word? Because I haven't heard it in a while.
Not quite. I think there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3,
Oh, good
4,
grief.
5, 6. Yeah, 6 letter. It's a
Six-letter
6-letter word.
And it's a positive word.
I tell you what, it's a positive word. 6 years after prices collapsed.
Right.
Nationally, as far as our housing market was concerned, housing has begun to climb out of its proverbial hole. Yeah. So what are the best moves to make right now? And in a 3-part series here, we're going to talk about.
Oh, I love this.
Oh, it's great. Number one, and I made some notes here as well. Yeah, surprise, huh?
He's preparing for us.
Yeah, it's my
Tell me
weekly
more.
volume of War and Peace. You can still take advantage of the rebounding market currently by letting that equity work for you. Well, number one, you've got to seize the opportunity potentially to refinance.
Right, to a lower interest rate.
How many of you folks don't realize that you might have 20% equity in your property right at the moment?
Get rid of the MI.
Get rid of the MI, shorten the term, go to a 15-year, pay it
If
off
it's
a whole lot.
possible, yeah,
if it is
absolutely.
possible. And take advantage, again, of those low mortgage interest rates.
It's unbelievable. the difference in the payment for my clients.
Scary.
Comparing
if you're paying
apples and oranges from years
If you're
ago.
paying 6% on a 30-year mortgage,
Shame on you.
You've got 21 years left. You could drop it to a 15 and probably, an interest rate under 3% and not affect your payment.
And I think what's so amazing is those folks who have equity. Another thing, sell your home now. Sell your 1,600 square foot home and buy the 2,400 square foot home for the same price.
Right.
You know what I mean? It's like that's what you get out there right now.
If you're looking to leverage, now's a great time.
Yeah. That's what you got to see.
Number 2, tap your home equity for home or school. If you're looking to make home improvements, okay, granted, you've got to make sure that you're not making intrinsic home improvements. Obviously, pool building is back on the rise once again. It is. Be very, very careful. Obviously, you have to make sure that you pick and choose those home improvements that are going to get you the biggest bang for your buck. But what about school? If you're thinking of going back to school, do you want to go to a trade school and pay a whole bunch of money where there's not much of a return on your ROI or return on your investment, or pull some cash out and go to Fresno State, or
do it all at one time. Do your refinance, pull your $10,000 or whatever it is you're needing for school, and pay it at 3% versus what student loans. I see what they're saying. Okay, awesome.
Upgrade your, number 3, upgrade your creature comforts. Now, that could be, as we mentioned, a good place to start might be your bathroom. Again, but no gold-plated toilets.
Darn.
Yeah, no, serious.
I was actually looking at those the other day.
Were you?
I was.
Yeah, local housing,
That's right.
the gold
toilet exchange.
The gold toilet emporium.
Actually, I can't even imagine what a gold toilet would cost right now with the prices of gold.
There you go. But did you know that actually remodeling your bathroom has overtaken the long-standing champion remodeling your kitchen?
I believe that. You know why?
At the top spot.
It is your escape. I love cooking and I love being in the kitchen, but I'll tell you what, I love my bathtub. Calgon takes me away.
Even
that and
more,
a glass of wine's way more fun.
Yeah,
just
there you go.
Relax. Check out.
And lastly, the advantage, and it could be the last bastion or the last hope, is the tax advantage. Grab your tax advantage while you got it.
Yeah, because it's not going to be there long at the rate they're going.
The way Washington, D.C. is going.
Yeah. Exactly.
So we were talking a little bit earlier about trusting in your real estate professional. And what does it take to ensure that your real estate professional, that your buyer actually pays attention?
I'm sorry.
To your go ahead.
I was on my soapbox.
No, you're not. Don't be sorry.
No, but I mean, I think dealing with buyers every day, we see the best and the worst of people, just like they see the best and the worst of their agent. But I
always maintain that you're going to see the gamut, the full spectrum in terms of buyers. You're going to find those buyers that are extremely easy to deal with, that are able to make those decisions rather smoothly, that they're able to have a clear and concise conversation without tossing sand in the sandbox or suffering from any sort of paralysis. Well, that makes up for those folks that walk into your office, as we mentioned, with their hula hoops, and it's going to be a long, arduous task because for some reason they're in the way, and which means that you don't have to like it in today's market.
Right.
It is again a great opportunity, great time to be able to sell, to be able to refinance, but you don't have to like it.
And you know what? And on that note, ask questions. If you're not sure and you're a buyer, ask questions. Ask people the questions. If you're uncertain of things, if you don't feel you're getting the right help, ask questions because you'll always get a response. Whether you like it or whether you believe it or whatever, that's up to you. But ask the questions. Get the conversation going. Don't make assumptions, I think is a huge piece.
I agree. So 5 things every real estate professional should know in the local market. Number 1, study local pricing. You got to have a feel for the pulse as far as what the market is doing. In California, we saw year over year 14.1% increase as far as housing prices are concerned. Fresno County, we're just slightly below that. Guys, hello.
Yeah, but
and inventory's low.
Yeah, the agents that are working for you, in our Fresno, let's say city of Fresno, you've got Fig Garden, you've got Sunnyside, you've got Clovis, you've got Pinedale,
Woodward
you've got
Lake.
Woodward, you've got Central Unified. Those are all different little ecosystems within
Did you say
Fresno.
Quail Lakes?
I didn't say Quail. That's Quail
Lakes.
Quail Lakes. But I mean, they're all different neighborhoods with different rules.
Just trying to add the list.
Yeah, but I mean, there's a ton of them.
Exactly.
And so your agent is out there every day. Trust me, They know more about what's going on in that neighborhood potentially than you do.
Also, look for a catalyst. Your agent should know if there's a catalyst in terms of building, in terms of infrastructure. What are those projects that you're going to see or that you've heard about on the news lately that could potentially help property values in your area?
That's interesting that you say that.
Yeah.
Because we have an investor that likes to pick up property, and his reason for picking up property and where he picks up property is on the freeways. His grandfather bought on the freeways in Southern California, and so he watches where freeways are built, where that infrastructure's going, because to him, that's the lifeline to whatever community it's headed towards.
Yeah.
And I find that really interesting.
Yeah, explore low-tax alternatives. In other words, those cities that typically have the lowest tax base are typically going to be those cities that have the greatest draw as far as the consumers are concerned. Yeah, check out your local school rankings. If you're an agent, if you're a buyer, those are things that you need to know. Clovis Unified, Central Unified, Fresno Unified, okay, the different charter schools here locally, University High at Fresno State. Those are extremely, extremely important things to know.
Well, and as far as tax alternatives, just going back to that, tax alternatives affect business too.
Yeah,
that's where you're going to see businesses thriving or in those tax-friendly environments as well.
Yeah, certainly. Watch the outskirts. Well, where are properties being built? Where's infrastructure being built on the outskirts of town? Typically what you do find is that in Fresno, city of Fresno proper, where's the greatest area that we've seen as far as buildings concerned? It's on the outskirts. It's on the southeast.
West side, the east
it's on
side.
the west side. It's on the northeast. You know, you get, northeast. Northwest is bordered. You've got the San Joaquin River there, so that makes it very difficult. We're pretty much capped out, capped out up north there. Yeah, bottom line is it pays to do your homework and tap the local resources of a local real estate professional. But lastly, you've got to be prepared for the answer. You really do.
Yeah, and you may not like it.
No, you
and
may
just
not.
be aware they're there to help you. Just remember that they're there to help you.
Yeah, definitely. Well, a majority of Americans now expect that home prices to increase year over year. Just the expectation. Granted, we've seen, like we mentioned in California, 14.1% year over year increase just recently.
Wow.
But now Americans actually expect housing prices to increase. Guys, here's the other, here's the double edge of that sword.
Yeah, exactly.
Careful what you wish for.
Right.
Yeah, it could get out of control. It could
Right.
get out of control way too fast.
Well, and here's the thing: your house's value may go up, but so's the house you're looking to buy.
Yeah.
So be careful because it does affect you.
Yeah, for the first time in this survey, this 3-year survey, Americans surveyed now expect home prices to continue to rise and increase. It's a good thing.
Sure.
It does help as far as consumer confidence is concerned. And that's a major variable in today's economy. Caution.
The caution flag's out.
Just
Yield.
Caution.
And I had to have a conversation with a couple buyers this last week that if they miss the boat this time, not to get discouraged because they're in a price point that is very difficult to achieve.
In 2006, how many folks thought that they were going to miss the boat? And all of a sudden in 2011, 12, and 13.
It's cyclic.
The boat's back.
The boat's back.
Yeah.
It's cyclic, and be aware of that. And just because you aren't able to achieve home ownership today doesn't mean you won't be in the future. So take your time. Don't make hasty decisions, and don't pay above what the market reasonably should bear.
Yeah, this last story from CNBC.com. With home listings low, and granted, we've seen, as we mentioned, inventory extremely low here in Fresno County. Spec building is back. Michelle, explain real quick to our listeners what exactly is, because we're going to talk about two different types of speculation here.
Okay.
But speculative building on behalf of the builders.
Okay, speculative building is where they have gone in and they have mapped lots for housing. They go in and they get funding from an institution generally for that, and they go in and they build speculatively on what the market is going to bear.
Consume, yeah.
So if they go in and they build a $200,000 house on that piece of property, their goal is to achieve $200,000 minimum. And so they go in and they have a lot of numbers as far as it's going to cost me $150K. I'm going to sell it for $200K. Plus taxes, plus this,
right.
So their goal is to build what they believe the consumer to want in the future months. Not future years,
Yeah.
future months. So generally, the mortgage might be for 9 months, 12 months
Right.
on that particular property. So the bank loans them the money to build that property, and you see it with small construction companies. Even they'll spec build on a lot out in a golf course or whatever. Nonetheless, they are hoping that a consumer is going to buy it for what they speculate it will be worth at that time.
Yeah.
So recently, we got asked to do a date of death appraisal. It's the same type of thing. Your future, that's the past, and you're looking at the situation in the past. This is actually forecasting what you believe the future to be, generally speaking.
Before that consumer
in
has
that
come to the
neighborhood.
curb and says, hey, I want to buy that house.
The consumer is not in contract.
Speculating that there's going to be a line, even if it's one consumer.
And you're speculating, it's like playing roulette.
Yeah.
Your hope is that the market will bear and you'll be okay.
I would imagine that a whole lot more, there's a tremendous number, or I shouldn't say a tremendous, far more builders in today's market that are willing to speculate on the fact, if they even need to in today's market in Fresno County, just for the simple fact that they're speculating that there's going to be buyers.
Well, they are speculating there's going to be buyers, but let's be really, really honest here. In 2007, when the market began its spiral out of control, builders went under daily, nationally, because they had these speculative homes sitting on the market that they owed money on, and then they had costs to hold these properties that they could not afford anymore because everybody just stopped buying.
Sure.
And so when you drive some cities and you see gated up bare land, those are lots that went foreclosure because a builder went out of business.
I saw that
speaking.
in Sunnyside, the D.R. Horton development down in Sunnyside. Drove through that subdivision, and here's the models all lined up next to each other, and here's all these other properties that they had broken ground on and didn't complete.
Couldn't finish.
In varying forms.
Sure, varying stages.
Yeah, varying stages.
Quite a few neighborhoods out in the Sanger area are as such, and some contractors have come in, purchased those, flippers have come in, purchased those, completed them. A lot of risk in doing that, but they are doing that and then reselling them. But yeah, it can be very dangerous for a company. So a company has to do it and has to project and has to have the right plan in place in order to work with the market and not be caught with their pants down.
Yeah, literally.
Necessarily. I mean, seriously, that's what happens.
You know, let's talk about speculation with regards to flippers. I talked to a very good friend of mine that's a flipper here in Fresno County a couple weeks back, and his comment was that when you go down to the courthouse steps, a lot of activity. The numbers are down in terms of those properties that are being auctioned off at the courthouse steps, and that a lot of folks, a lot of these flippers, that they are beginning to speculate
on the market.
Wow. That the market is going to be the manpower that's going to move that price, being that they're buying so high.
That's a bubble.
And that's
a concern.
A problem.
Yeah, because when you are an investor, you earn your income off of the market's advancement or off your improvements.
Right.
So what we've seen is a lot of great investors out there buying deficient properties, putting those dollars in for improvements and helping our neighborhoods, really.
Sure.
And then reselling those properties to first-time home buyers and folks who need to move up or down. And
important part of our recovery.
Absolutely. But when you start risking it based on what the market's going to drive, ooh, that is some risk.
Well,
that's a major risk for our market.
That's extremely scary.
Yeah, absolutely.
Speculation is not necessarily.
And there's a whole lot of them out there. So the concern I have is the power behind those folks to push our market in a direction we may not want to see.
Well, what happens if they do get caught with their pants down, like you mentioned earlier?
Yeah, well,
yeah, that's not
somehow.
Not
I think the consumers are the ones who lose.
Yeah. Well, ultimately.
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, let's take a listener question. Well, Jimmy from Soma says, my wife and I have been looking for a home for roughly about 90 days now, and we recently submitted an offer on a property that was listed for $320,000. Our agent pulled comparables that show that the property is probably worth somewhere in the ballpark of about $350,000. Now, our agent suggested that we write an offer, and I thought this was kind of interesting, where you get this number from. An offer of $361,000. So keep in mind, list price $320,000. Let's write an offer for $41,000 in excess of it, $361,000.
Wow.
And my wife and I asked, well, what if the property does not appraise? And he says, the agent says, don't worry about that. We'll worry about that when the time comes. We just want to make sure that our offer is accepted. Let's not get carried away. But is this really something that's wise?
There's so many different ways, different angles to look at this. Honestly, is it a foreclosed property?
It is.
It is a
It is.
foreclosed.
It
So
is a
foreclosed
foreclosed
property, bank wants net. But banks are smart. They're not stupid. They're not going, okay.
Asset manager is going to say,
yeah.
if that property doesn't appraise, you're going to be willing to pay the difference
That's
because they've had
exactly
it done.
right.
They've had it done to them in the past so many
exactly.
times where agents come in and their number one strategy for getting that property into contract was, we're just going to throw the highest bid out there.
Yep.
And we're going
Secure
to
it.
get it. We're going to secure it, get into contract, and then we'll negotiate our way out of it once we know what it's worth.
And see, a foreclosure asset manager knows that, so they're going to watch it. And let me just tell you, a listing agent knows that too. They will advise you to take the offer that is reasonable, and they will, because they're smarter than that. Now, you, the consumer, can do what you want to do, but at the same time, a smart listing agent is going to tell you your property is worth X, and it's not going to appraise for a different amount.
Right.
And if that comes back, we're going to have an issue on the table, and what's the answer going to be?
Well, I really firmly believe that the asset manager is going to flush those offers out of the bushes.
Absolutely.
That are strictly relying on the fact that, hey, we're just going to get it into contract and then we'll figure it out as we.
I advise my clients. I mean, if it's bank owned, if they come back and ask you, are you going to be able to provide it? Are you going to provide the difference?
Yeah.
Can you provide the extra $3,000, $5,000, whatever it is you're wanting to offer? Because if you can't,
$3,000 or $5,000 is
right,
much
but
more
40,000
palatable. But
is ridiculous.
41,000.
yeah.
Yeah.
I
Well,
get
actually,
you.
in this particular instance, value about $350, but really is, I mean, that's
That's a guess.
significant.
That's not an appraised value, and
No.
that's a different value, guys.
Yeah.
That's agents. We do our best to give you a good, solid value, but at the end of the day, it all comes down to that appraisal.
And be careful as an agent. Don't tell them that is the number that you need to offer. You give them a range. And then based upon the money and their financial situation and their financial picture, they then make the decision as to what I can do. They're big boys and girls. They can figure it out.
I agree.
We give them the tools and all the information necessary, and they go through the decision.
Listen to your agent.
Yeah, listen to your agent.
Absolutely.
That's why we do what we do.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Again, if you have any real estate or mortgage-related questions or questions regarding the information that Michelle and I share with you here this beautiful Sunday morning, give us a call. It all starts with a call from you, and we genuinely would like to hear from you. We've gotten great listener feedback. Call us anytime, 800-979-3958. Again, that's 800-979-3958. You can also go to our website online, search for your new home, check out our resources, ask us about bankruptcy, ask us about foreclosure. Just ask us any question with regards to the local real estate market. ValleyWideSells.com. Again, that's ValleyWideSells.com. To friend us on Facebook, use Press 4 keywords.
Friend Valley White on Facebook.
Or use Press 4 keywords.
KMJ, call Valley White.
To call into the show anytime, during the show, after the show, we'd love to hear from you. Well, big thank you to Michelle Pettis, my special guest host, for joining us this
You're welcome.
great
Anytime.
Sunday morning. Going for another bike ride today?
I'm hoping.
You are. Yeah,
It's kind of hot, though.
Let me know how that goes. That and that 30-pound helmet. We'd love to have you here.
Yeah.
Again, thanks so much, Johnny B, behind the mics. It's always good to see you Sunday morning, Johnny. You're doing great, buddy. Our goal with the Real Estate Radio Network is to get you, our listeners, the timely and the accurate truth about your local real estate market so we can help bring you
Back home.
Don't forget to tune into the Real Estate Radio Network next Sunday morning at 7 a.m. on 105.9, the FM KMJ. Local news, local talk. Make it a great day, Central Valley, and we will see you next week.
The preceding program was paid for by the Real Estate Radio Network.